3, 2, 1, boom. So we're live again. Welcome back to another episode of AI Journal LinkedIn Lives. Today I have the pleasure of being joined by Stephan and Andreas from Rutronik. How are you both doing today, sirs?
Yeah, hi.
Hey, hi, nice. How are you?
Hi, Tom.
Yeah, it's great to have you on today. And you said you're calling in from the border of France, from Germany. Is that right?
Right in the southwest Germany, close to the town Karlsruhe. Yeah.
Nice. And I take it that's where Rutronik's headquarters are, or one of their main offices
right.
are?
Yeah, the headquarters is in Isbringen, close to Pforzheim, and we are here. We are a privately-owned company. Just let me introduce or say some words about the company. We are a global distributor. We have roughly 82 offices worldwide, with 37 subsidiaries in Europe, Asia, as well in US and Mexico. So really global company with a turnover of roughly 1.1 billion euro.
Nice. That's a cool story to be telling, and how it's turned into what it is.
And still privately owned, and one of the only privately owned companies as a really family-owned company. Yeah, I think this is what a big difference between the others.
Yeah, that's a massive difference. It's hard to do that, to keep private while going to that kind of scale and going to that kind of revenue, right?
Yeah, this is let me say sustainable, healthy growth philosophy is behind, and so it is really organic-driven business through all these last 50 years, and so we were really proud of it, that we reached such an scale, and on the other side, we expanded our portfolio day by day, year by year. We came from passive components via semis. Now we are also focused on embedded systems, embedded solutions, wireless solutions, as well as EMAC components. But also we are in the battery cell business, which is, of course, a ultra fast-growing market. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you reckon that growth is then behind the battery market? Why is that such a big growing market? Like, I can't got my own ideas, but maybe someone that isn't.
It is, of course, the future mobility market. With everything which has 2 wheels or 4 wheels, they need to be driven, and so this is our driver on one side. But also we see a constant growth in the embedded world, in the embedded and wireless world, because everything will be connected, and so the highest growth rates are also in the IoT range of our products.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Stephan, I'd love to come to you as well, and maybe start with you, Stephan, and then Andreas. How did your roles with Rutronik? How did you get into what you are in at the moment, and what's your kind of story of that? Because I always love to understand people's stories. And mine, for example, AI Journal, it was just luck and chance. And here I am talking. Our audience now is like 2 million a month and whatever. But I'd love to know what your kind of story was to where you are today with Rutronik, please, Stephan and Andreas.
Sure. So I started at Rutronik in 2015 already as a product manager for sensors. So then I gained a lot of experience in this area, but then I had another experience at another company, and then last year in May I came back because I heard of this new area where Rutronik wants to investigate in, or wants to grow, and just that Rutronik wants to make things differently. And I had also, during my first time at Rutronik, I had also this vision already, but I would say we were maybe not, or Rutronik was not really ready at that time, or maybe the time was not right. But then we had some calls. I came back, and then I started to build this area, Rutronik System Solutions. So and with that we now want to do our support differently. So of course we still support our customers in the best way, but we just thought that the solution thinking is getting more and more important, and just to support our customers on different levels and way more deeper levels, deeper technical support. So that's the background. That's why we started this area last year in May, and now we are developing this area in all different directions. So from technical support, from the relationship with our suppliers, and relationship with our customers, and relationship even internally, so between our product experts. And that's the story in a nutshell.
Oh, I love it. What about you, Andreas? How was your story too?
Yeah, I would say I'm an engineer with heart and soul, of course, because after the university, I started my career in R&D. It was really a research area where we developed autonomous battery-powered systems, robotics. For example, our robot drove into the nuclear power plant of after the crash in Ukraine, and so I switched to a supplier, and where I was application engineer and a product definer in the analog mixed signal area, and after that I switched to several positions inside Rutronik. So during that time, I have in all cases or in all my roles very close relationship to the universities, to leading universities. So I'm also one of these, or I'm the responsible for the university research program inside Rutronik, and to fill the gap between the science approach and the industrial approach. And especially in the AI world and in the IoT world, there is currently, I see, a big gap. And my goal is really to bring these unique know-how from the university and our research partners to wire Rutronik to the industry. And so we are doing, let me say, different approaches, so-called bottom-up approach with detailed product knowledge. And know what's going on with the latest products in the market. On the other side, we have, and I have in my team, a very strong market researchers, and not only from a market level, but also from a technology level to make technology assessment. And this is also what we offer customers, the technology assessment about technology which comes from suppliers, but also from, from the market. And with that knowledge, we are combining the product approach with the new technology approach, and bring this know-how together to drive new solutions, accompanied by the research programs from the universities to bring or to develop really unique IP, and especially, or last but not least, this ends with patents and with really unique IP, which you'll never see before.
Yeah, very cool. So you got a lot going on. I was looking through when I found out about what you guys are doing and what the team's doing. And maybe I'd like to come to you, Stephan. Maybe give us an idea of Andreas's great points of what you're getting involved in now. And I can see through different angles, you're very clear about what you're getting involved in the automotive sector, the power sector, the smart sector, and then the embedded sector. What's the story behind this Rutronik System Solutions, and what's the kind of areas that, from a global innovation management point of view, that you're really looking forward to and really getting behind it?
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, we have all those future markets which we also defined within Rutronik. So, and we try now to combine the future markets with our solution, so that we are telling the same story within Rutronik and to our customers and the market. So that's why we also divided our support into different levels. So we have we show it normally in a pyramid, where you can see at the bottom the key, our core competence means the distribution, broadline distribution, which we are still doing, which is of course our core competence still. But now we just divided, or we are differentiating between 4 other levels. So one level is the basic level, or we start at the basic level, means consulting on product and system level. So of course we also did that in the past. So we consulted on product level. It was also part of our core business. But now if you go higher at the pyramid, we have level 2, which is the design level. So we take the boards, the hardware boards of our suppliers, If we see great potential, for example, in a BMS board of one of our suppliers, then we try, for example, to combine this with a software. So, for example, we work together with the university, and we are working on a software just to get the full potential out of a evaluation board from one of our suppliers. So that's, let's say, one approach, so one support level where we use the hardware, like I said, so the hardware boards from our suppliers. And then if you go higher in the pyramid to level 3, we have the so-called, we call it advanced design level. So that means that we are even creating our own evaluation boards. So we do not create end products. So I have to make clear that we do not do end products, because we don't have all the qualification steps. We don't have the certification steps which are needed for end products, but we are creating evaluation boards and proof of concepts to help our customers to get a really quick proof of concept for their application in the end, to support them technically, and also commercially. And that's what we do on the advanced design level. So we take the parts from our suppliers and make evaluation boards for specific applications, for example, or we try to keep them as flexible as possible, that many customers or also different markets sometimes can use this evaluation board to evaluate their specific application. So on the highest level, that's where the AI and also the IP comes in, is the level 4, the research level. That's where also Andreas mentioned, where we work together with universities, sometimes with external third parties. So, for example, engineering labs or whatever, to add to those boards and to this application or evaluation boards, even our own IP. So we have also more and more examples where we have already registered patents, especially in in the battery market, for example. And that's where we add really the highest complexity, let's say, or the highest level of support. So that's the pyramid of support.
Maybe let me give you some example regarding the research level and the approach. There are several. Maybe one example is biotechnology. We know that biotechnology is currently there's very limited electronics inside. How to grow the plant, or how to improve the growing of plants, or how to influence maybe insects, for example, or what other. These were really cool things on one side, but it's in most cases you have to do your lessons first, because you have to bring really biotechnology know-how first, or how to learn biotechnology, or you need to know, for example, the battery. You need to know about the behavior of the chemistry of a battery. So you need, and this was also one of the, let me say, the advantages. We have the know-how from the battery chemistry due to the fact that we are the one and only battery cell distributor in Europe, for example, for Samsung SDI. So we have the insights of the battery, plus we have the insights. What is the change? What is the aging of a battery, or what is the state of health of a battery, and how to measure it, and how to make an assessment. And this is, the combination where we bring chemistry know-how or biotechnology know-how to the electronic, this interface. And there are several examples. Maybe you can also show some things about on all cases. It is for us a kind of a deep tech approach. Deep tech means really that we have that AI is in all cases inside, but the focus is in all what we are concentrating, not to use the big data mining and the server tools, really concentrating on edge intelligence, bringing AI in the edge. This is because we see especially in the industrial world, but also in the automotive world, let me say autonomous driving, you need to have an autonomous car without having a cloud connection. Yeah. So drive in a tunnel without a web connection. What's going on? You need have the intelligence without cloud connections. So that's the reason why we say let's concentrate on edge intelligence and build up there also our boards on this level to realize AI tools. And maybe let me add one thing which is definitely not typical for a distributor. So in the AI design in the design flow of AI or machine learning development flow, you have typically the board level packages and the board packages from the suppliers. Of course, yes, it's available.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the training, the model, the design of the AI model or the pre-trained model or the feature engineering, typically customers has to do by their own or by third parties. And this is exactly where we are going in. To say, in our proof of concept is we are preparing the training data. We defining and designing make the model design plus the pre-trained model plus the feature engineering or the feature setup, and this is the add-on which nobody expects from a distributor, but it's for us important because finally we have to bring it on the board on the edge, not in the cloud, and this is our motivation, to have to design these proof concepts. But we stop, of course, on a certain level, as Stephan mentioned. We would not go into competition with our customers. Definitely not. We want to give them support.
Yeah, to help them and have that kind of collaboration point, because I noticed it's quite important to you with from what I've seen through the website and what you guys are doing, to have that kind of partnership ecosystem. And as you're saying, Andreas, to be by their side instead of trying to go into their industry, but be there as, I almost see it as like value-added marketing or something. Like, what else can we do above being just a distributor? How can we really show we're supporting you, right?
Yeah. So it is, and maybe you can give some examples for our boards, but what we are doing and some applications.
So let me maybe add one more thing, because it also is kind of related to my background or where I come from. Because if you look at the distribution or distributor, how it is, first I worked at the sensors department, then I worked for a supplier. So because I thought, okay, there you have the really deep technical insights. But then I realized that at a distributor, you have all the knowledge of the different product experts which are working there in the different departments. And then additionally, you have the knowledge normally of all your suppliers. Because if you're working for a supplier, you have the knowledge of your supplier, of course, of your product, sometimes, of course, of the competitors. But within the company, we have really, or that's also kind of my goal, to gather all the knowledge together from our product experts, from the suppliers, and of course also the feedback of the customers and all our field guys. And that's the big advantage we can also offer to our customers, because we don't have to offer this one supplier or this one product, because we can just choose between the best suppliers we have in our line card, and then we can create the best solution for our customers out of the products of our suppliers. So that's the big advantage. And that was also one reason why I said, okay, that's really the best approach you can get, or the best direction you can go and give to your customer, because then you can really have the full support of the best parts. So that's...
Maybe let's add one thing, Stephan. It is really a wider angle and another perspective which we have. This is that, and also what we learned also during this process, that it is a kind that we also able to make a kind of transformation of a specific problem to for example, if we would like to analyze volatile organic compounds by an by impedance measurement of a sensor. We have also impedance measurement in a battery chemistry, how to analyze the chemistry of the battery. So this link, and to transform a problem in another domain or use the approach from another domain. I think this was for us. This opens us our eyes, how to deal with a problem and how to create solutions we had never before, or you had it before.
Yeah, I love it. And it seems like you've got the good way of displaying it as well, Andreas, from a marketing perspective, because I saw that you've got the Automotive Congress 2022 happening. So maybe do you find that the way best to kind of show and be back in person and show how these innovations that you've been mentioning, Stephan, is kind of the way to really show your customers how you're helping and what you're doing?
Of course, that's one way to show the results, let's say, or to talk about our boards, about our approach, about our way we want to go. Because if I can just show you some level 3 examples for like here you can see the boards. I don't know if you can really see them well. That's one example how we show it, for example, at the ABU Congress in Pforzheim, but also at the Embedded World exhibition, which was in May, I guess, or in June, because they postponed it, or at the Sensor and Test in Nuremberg. And that's where we show how our different boards are working together, because we believe that you really get the full potential out of the boards if you really combine them. Because normally on level 3, for example, we create a baseboard with a microcontroller, and then we always use the Arduino header approach so that you can stack them together. And then you can, for example, add a sensor fusion board to one of our baseboards, or you can add, we have a text-to-speech board where you can give a voice output, for example, just without any studio recording. And we have a CO2 board, for example, and you can combine them all together. So you can even create out of those boards different approaches for different applications. So then you can give the choice to the customer and say, okay, you can use maybe the baseboard to evaluate our microcontroller, but you can of course also use the baseboard together with the sensor fusion board. And at the exhibitions, of course, we show what we have. So we show a combination out of all the boards we have. So we had a voice guidance. We of course showed the sensor fusion functions. We showed the sensor outputs, and we had voice output of the sensor data, and we even added one of our displays, so it's from one of our display suppliers, because in general we can offer almost everything which is an online CAD. So that means sensors, microcontrollers, displays, the passive parts are all semiconductors or active parts. So, and that's the great thing, because then you just can show the really nice demo what you have at the exhibition. And if you give this, or if you give this even to our internal guys, to our sales guys, they can go with really nice live demos to the customers and show them how our parts work and that they do what they promise. And then in the end, the customer, that's the biggest advantage, can take one of these boards or a combination out of different boards and just start with the evaluation steps. So we take the time from them to create those boards, because for every pre-development, you need, of course, any kind of evaluation board or a build. And that's what we also take from our customers, so that they don't need to spend the time to build their own example applications. So we always try to give them just an example that they can immediately start to evaluate the microcontroller, sensor, whatever, or even just a complete solution. And in the end, of course, it's the aim that they sell, that they buy or order those parts through Rutronik. That's the aim.
To give them the extra benefits, I really think it's great. Go on,
maybe let me give another example. This is our so-called WASP scare board. With this is especially designed for the biotechnology market, where we can influence the wasps. It's really a great show when you show it really at home, or you have friends with you and then sitting on a terrace. And What we are doing here, we are creating signals to influence the wasps, and they disappear without chemical weapons. So, and this is, I think, also in the biotechnology, an important approach to avoid chemical stuff and to use the electronic and AI. Of course, we have to train these things, and we have also another board which is especially for mosquitoes, how to avoid stitches and bite from mosquitoes. And this is patent fully approved. Just to give you a flavor, the sizes, the number of pages of this patent is 116 pages.
Andreas, can you just quickly show that to the screen? I'm going to put you in solar layout. I just want to see it close up. So you're in solar layout.
So there is additional. We also add some sensor board, but this is our main board, which is the Edge Intelligence. Sorry, here. So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So this is our main board, our RDK2, which is the edge computing. Where we also do the trainings, and we have the PC connection to upload the trained model, and there is a fan inside, and there's also we are using here ultraviolet LEDs. Plus a special titanium oxide filtering to avoid producing ozone. So finally, we are building only a neutral cloud, a neutral cloud of with oxide and water, and that's it. And if a wasp is smelling water and oxide, it's not so interesting instead of the steak or beer or some sweets. Yeah,
that's really cool, because you can have that like as an idea. Like I was thinking, I went backpacking around Asia and everything, and I did all those kind of things, and mosquitoes are instantly the kind of things, but not just in Asia, like when I've been in America and when I've traveled all sorts of places, even here in the UK, you get bit by, or down the south. Are you saying you could have that like as a commercial use to almost?
Yeah, this is just the first prototype. Of course, is fully digital printed, and but of course the technology is available. We have now for our buying customers, and we support our customers. In this case, of course, not a big deal. And I think it's a really unique solution. And for us, it's just let me add one thing. This is definitely not magic. Is 100% physics and biotechnology. And what we are doing in advance is that we have also in parallel science papers, and we can show it really from a science perspective, which we discuss with also with leading professors. This approach. And we're creating for all our tools science papers, not only white papers. This is a big difference. That is not a magic. It is, let me say, this is physics, biotechnology, and electronics. Yeah,
very cool. And I imagine you'd be getting some good feedback. So if I can ask, what are some maybe Stephan from your angle first, and Andreas, what are some of the kind of biggest lessons you've learned? Maybe it's a top three, or there's one that sticks out in particular from this kind of feedback over developing these new. I think it's awesome. Like that's why I was really fascinated by what this can possibly do. And it's just one example. What kind of feedback have you been getting from customers across different sectors? And what was maybe the big eye opener to you that gave you the biggest lesson?
Yeah, I mean, of course, every feedback is important. So not only from the customers, also from our sales guys, for example, because maybe we need to do something differently or so. But the feedback from the customers as well as from our suppliers, which is also, of course, for a distributor, is really important. It's really, really positive. So, of course, we need to make sure that we really can fully support our customers, so that we don't only give them maybe this for them, maybe the magic solution, and they don't really understand what they should now do next with this technology. So because sometimes you, for example, like if we're talking about this wasp scare or however you want to name it, maybe your customer will be a bakery, for example. But the bakery will definitely not be able to implement this. So that's where we always need to give, maybe either we can give the support, or we have a partner who can just take over at a certain step and then move forward with the customer to give them the fully support until the end product. Because of course, in the end, it's important that we do not only show proof of concepts, it's important that we have the end product. So that's definitely a lesson learned, that we have to consider all the different aspects, not only the fascinating technology, but also just to help them completely from all aspects. And like I said, the feedback from our internal guys or from our sales guys is also really important, because we also need to tell them how to sell or how to offer those technologies to our customers, that the customer is at the first minute understanding what we try to tell to our customers. And because if your colleague doesn't understand the technology, if your sales guy is not understanding the technology, then it's hard to that they can sell this to our customers. So, and of course also the supplier feedback is really important, because I mean, it's also a great promotion tool for our suppliers, and of course we need to be considered as the best partner. So that's important that they also understand what we are doing.
It's a good thing what we already mentioned. We use this combination of suppliers in our so-called electronic nose, which we designed, where we are using sensor fusion. And sensor fusion, which is often used by predictive maintenance applications, where we combine humidity sensor, VOC sensing, plus temperature sensing, plus CO2 sensing, and so on. We are combining these data, and we make the pre-processing. Finally, we had a sensitivity, create a sensitivity which is quite in accordance to the nose of a dog.
Yeah.
So just to give you a flavor of what we can really distinguish, if you take 1 drop of red wine from France and 1 drop of red wine from Italy, only 1 drop, so a human being, no chance to really make the difference. But we can really smell the difference only by our sensors. And so this is, I think, so we have multiple in a sensitivity, of this technology. And in this case, we combine the best sensors in the world, from our suppliers together to take best of each. And that's was a perfect combination. And we see there are a lot of approaches, and you have so much volatile organic compounds, like starting from air measurements in offices to maybe automotive could be also things like the air quality measurement in general, wherever you are, or where it is a carbon chemical reaction in somewhere. So this is a lot of huge applications for electronic noses. And so this is...
And I'm thinking quickly as well, Andreas, because it's very relevant here in Birmingham. We've got the Commonwealth Games happening literally just down the road from me at the moment. So using some sort of solution for that, when companies are making, or when cities are making bids, if they have this kind of technology, they can kind of predict, I'd imagine, through AI and through your sensors, how much the pollution is going to go up, and what the kind of impacts of that would be. Is that an example, right? Is that
this is a very good example. On one side, of course you have to train this the sensors by using an AI model. No question. But you can typically tool what we also use, of course, the standard tools. We have, for example, a NIME server here in-house, and we are using Orange as tools to create the models. So NIME and Orange, and this is a big difference between the bakery, which you mentioned already, the problem, and the NIME tools, which we need to create the models, for for this stuff, so there is, and this is, what we need to fill this gap, into to connect the real life and the real application with this AI approach.
Yeah, that's really cool. So I take it going forward, especially from both of your angles, but maybe more of the global innovation side, Stephan, AI is definitely not going outside of Rutronik at the moment. It's becoming more and more of a focus area, right? And more of a area you're building into the kind of future plans that you and the business and
definitely
ecosystem partnerships have at the moment.
Exactly, that's definitely the way we are going. And I mean, like Andreas mentioned, the biggest step is always to bring our visions, where we have many of, and the magic, or however you want to call it, really to a real application. So in the market, or because that's of course the most important thing for our customers, and that's of course also the feedback, and that's one main part of my job, that we nail everything down to, firstly, that the customer, like I said, can understand it, but secondly, of course, that they can also just use it inside their application. And that's one really big challenge, just to bring it, for example, from the university to the market, or to the shop, let's say it like that.
It's such a big movement, isn't it? You don't have that deployment.
Yes.
Andreas.
And I think one of the important things is, especially for this, that means the deep tech know-how, that in most cases controllers will be used with really encryption on board, because we need also to secure the know-how, and not to change maybe some models or change some parameters or features. This is a very important thing, that encryption and data security is key there in such applications. First, to keep the know-how, also to when we support our customers, that they can keep their know-how, or they add further features or further apps on their tools.
Yeah, very cool. And Stephan, Andreas, I want to be respectful of your time, but I do have a question. I hope this kind of makes sense from what we've discussed today. Is there something you're seeing from your, I'm going to call it an ecosystem? So you mentioned how important everything is, from the suppliers to the customers, internally, from sales and deployment models, and getting that research angle right. Across all the different components and categories that you're in at the moment, from semiconductors to displays and monitors, what we've discussed, is there a common thread or a common theme that you can share with our audience of not where people go wrong, but what they need to consider? So aspects of what they need to consider when using either the example we've used today, or from what you're seeing progress with the use of AI. Are there things where you think, well, this is what you really need to consider before using our solutions or before installing this? I don't know. Does that make sense, Stephan and Andreas?
Yeah, maybe let's just one. So, threats, let me say not threats, but maybe we say upcoming technologies. We see, due to the fact that we are very close in relation with the universities, we see technologies upcoming in the next 5-10 years, not in the real life, but technologies upcoming. And one of what we learned also is in terms of printed sensors. Printed volatile sensors, volatile organic compound sensor, for example. So printed sensor means that the cost of a sensor will be maybe in the cent range. So a few cents, plus maybe in the future a printed micro with also 10 cents. There are some micros available now, or in the prototype phase, 4-bit micros with as printed. Plus maybe a connection, a kind of energy harvesting energy module. And which is an energy harvesting means also energy for free. So, and this could be in the, let me say in 5-10 years, a huge market, sensors everywhere. With energy harvesting, with printed electronics, with printed sensors. Based on new materials, or we call internally advanced materials, like polymer, like carbon nanotubes, also of course in the high power area of electronics, silicon carbide and gallium nitride, but there are really a lot of new materials upcoming. With fantastic behavior in related to physical changes.
Yeah.
And this could be, for our side, a breakthrough. But in any case, I do not see there a threat for our market, because we need to collect the data. We need to go to the web. We need to get, take data as much, finally to have the complete picture.
Yeah.
But there will be new technologies upcoming, which will be very, very interesting. And I'm really together with my science colleagues from the university. So I'm always astonished with what's going on and what will upcome.
Some wild things happening at the moment. And Stefan, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that. It's a great point by Andreas.
I mean, things which came into my mind, if you're talking about, I don't know if I would call it threats or maybe challenges or of course the customer, exactly. So the customer always, of course, has to consider that there's a hardware and software part. So that's both really important. And both needs support. If you're, I don't know, it depends where the customer comes from which branch or area. So how good they are in hardware or software or both. So that's of course always the question, always really important. And from my point of view, my personal point of view is that you just shouldn't miss the trend. So that you shouldn't think, okay, maybe, I don't know, which thing will maybe fail or not come, because from my point of view, especially sensor fusion is really, like Andreas said, a big thing, and with that, big other things are coming, and I think we also need those improvements just to reduce, I don't know, maybe CO2 or whatever in the environment, or to save just materials, or just to get more precise tools or measurement tools, whatever, in medicine or in the medical sector or wherever. So I think that's definitely really important, and you shouldn't underestimate this.
I think with printed sensors, for example, you do not need logistics, and so we have no CO2. So the CO2 footprint will be quite good. But maybe one threat in the scenario in general, let me add one thing, is the war for talents. The war for talents in the engineering, and the war for talents in AI. This is because we see there, of course, the big companies, the Googles and so on, and the Amazons are upcoming, and but we also in the mid-sized companies we need these talents, and this is a threat in general for AI, because we need experts. We need experts and engineers and scientists also to realize these things, who understand the difference, the approach from the bakery and from the orange, from Nime orange modeling.
And is that something that you've got on your plate at the moment, Andreas, on how to build that into what you're doing at Rutronik, how to build that kind of inclusion and making sure that upskilling happens or the talent happens, and making sure, because that's why we exist. We exist literally to try and educate people on this stuff. So
of course, this is also our approach beside the science approach with university, to get the best scientists and to get the best engineers from the university. So this is the two approaches, and to be an attractive company for those guys with really cool things in which we're designing here and doing.
It's very exciting. It's very cool to see you got that approach as well, making sure that you do time with the universities and you do time with the academia side, as South by Southwest, and all the big companies are saying how that approach can really excel your company. So I think it's a great point, Andreas and Stefan, that you're really honing in on that as part of your innovation and future plans, which is really exciting. And I just want to say a massive thank you for joining us, Stefan and Andreas. It's been a lot of fun today to understand around this. Obviously, it's an area I'm not always involved in. And I think going off the comments and the views on LinkedIn, a lot of people have found this valuable. So I really appreciate you joining us today, and really grateful for your time, Stefan and Andreas.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and thank you for the invitation.
I'm looking forward to the next time.
Okay.
Cheers, Stefan. Cheers, Andreas.
Cheers. See you.
All right.
See you
bye.
soon.